It's the end. There's only 3 episodes left of A Positive Mind with TSED. And I'm making it a trilogy about the past, present, and future. Stay tuned.
I'm someone, she's TSED. I'm someone, she's TSED. I'm someone, they call me TSED. Like that. I'm someone, she's TSED. I'm someone, she's TSED. I'm someone, they call me TSED. Like that.
Hey guys, it's me, the self-esteem Dr. Simone Alicia, and at the beginning of this year, I made a promise to myself and a promise to you that for every single week of this entire year, I would produce a new episode of A Positive Mind with TSED to inspire you and give you the tools you need. Well, we're at the end of this year, and only 3 episodes are left. And I've decided to make it a trilogy where we focused on dealing with the past, embracing the present, and dreaming up the most beautiful future. So this episode you're tuned into right now is focusing on the past. So here's the analogy I'm going to give you, and I'm going to ask you to keep in mind for all of these episodes as we come to the end of A Positive Mind with TSED. I want you to think of your mind as a beautiful time machine. That means that wherever you want to go, you can go with just a thought. Well, the past is one of those places that we go quite often. But here's the problem. I want you to imagine that you actually have buttons in a time machine, and you can go to the worst time of the past, the best time of the past. What do most of us press? Well, we'd think we'd press the best time in the past, so we could reminisce and laugh and have fun. But instead, most of us press that button, they go right back to the worst times of our past. And it is not a fun place to be. So let's back up. Of course, it's amazing to look back at your past. Sometimes there's so many beautiful things that happen there. And even the terrible things sometimes give us the best opportunities to learn and grow. So I'm not saying that anything is horrible or bad, except for when we spend too much time lost in the negative things that happened in the past. We can't do anything to change them. And we're feeling those negative past emotions right now where we're sitting. We're feeling it now. So when we talk about the past this time, what I want us to do is remember that we do have the power to decide which button we press in our mental time machine as we look back in the past. If we press the negative button every single time, we're actually bringing those negative emotions right back to the present. I'll talk more about that in part 2. What we really want to start doing is looking back at the past in positive ways, if we have to look back at all. And when we do, go back and pull the lessons, go back and pull the great memories, and go back and pull all of the potential that we know to have successes in our lives. Another way to look at the past sometimes is that you can actually clean it up. You guys know I do neuro-linguistic programming, right? Well, there's this really cool technique I've been sharing with people lately, and I want to make sure I share with you. When you've got these negative memories and negative thoughts that are just all over your brain and they seem like they will never go away, it seems like you're having old conversations with people who are not even there and just arguing incessantly and feeling terrible about these past memories. Here's what you can do. Next time you recall one of these old situations, and now stay with me, this works. There's some neuroscience here. It works. The next time you bring up these old scenarios in your head, memories, conversations, I want you to start shifting around the way the memory looks in your head. Here's what I mean. Let's say somebody was yelling at you, and in the moment they were yelling at you, you felt so tiny. You felt your face flush red or hot, just very nervous and scared. Your stomach was flipping all over the place. Here's what you can do now. As you're recalling that, I want you to switch it up. Although we actually know he was yelling in the past, turn it down for the sake of you feeling better in the now. Turn down that volume. Maybe make it a squeaky voice. Maybe he burped in the middle of trying to yell at you and be mean. You get to change that memory around a little bit to take the sting out of the emotion. What if you now, in your recollection, you remember that your face didn't feel hot at all and you didn't feel small? What if you rewrite that story and say, you know what? I could imagine feeling big and strong. What if you imagine that his voice or her voice turned into a little squeaky mouse voice and you can barely hear it? What if you just play with that picture in your mind and remember, put it back together in a totally different way that helps you to feel calm, ease, positive, and hopeful about what that memory really was, not for the sake of lying to yourself and not for the sake of telling a fake story to everyone else, but simply for the sake of helping you to deal with it emotionally and cope differently in the present. Now, I know this is a big idea, so if you're kind of like, what are you talking about? I will never do that. I need to remember it exactly how it is so I can be mad at these people. Well, go for it. It's okay. I'm not here to tell you what to do. As Tabitha Brown would say, that's your business. So you do it however you want to do it. But what I'm saying is that if we do want to disconnect from the pain of the past, there is one technique I could share with you right here, right now, which I just did, that would help you to not be so tethered to the pain. And that is that when you recall it, you just shift up some of those details so they become a little bit more humorous. Can you imagine 2 days from now, you're remembering something that used to kind of make you want to cry, but now you're imagining the person yelling at you has a lizard tongue coming out and is talking to you with like googly eyes and sounding like Mickey Mouse? All of a sudden you're like, that's kind of hilarious. And you tell your brain, listen, stop recalling this in such a painful way. Stop hurting me today for something I already got hurt for back then. I want to be free. Then your brain will put together this new picture that you're feeding it. It'll just seem funny and light, and you can let it go more easily. All right, guys, so no matter what you're ready for, if that was a little too much or a little too little, or if it was right on point, use it however you will, whenever you are ready. Just know that these tips and tricks really do work in neurolinguistic programming as a part of that neuroscience process to where we can kind of break down these memories and these connections that we have to the past to help us feel better now. And I'll get more into the power of the present in part 2. For now, you guys, remember that you don't have to tie yourself to all the negativity of the past. The mind is like a time machine. When you're going to go back, you decide what button you press. Am I going back to feel as miserable as possible? Or am I going back to rewrite and tweak things a bit so I can feel better? Or am I just going to go back to the amazing memories I had in the past in the first place? You get to choose. And now, on to part 2.